Okay, so in this video we're going to be doing about solving quadratics using the quadratic formula. Okay, for this topic you are going to need a calculator of some sorts, so make sure that you've got one of those because this whole topic is using our calculator to be able to solve these sorts of equations here. Now, to start off with, I have written just letters, okay, and that's because they relate to the formula that we've got here. So whatever numbers we have in front of the x squared, the x, and the number added or subtracted on the end, we can use those in this formula to work out the answers, okay? So I know in previous videos I've done about factorising, so that's one way of solving quadratics. We factorise it and then make both brackets equal to 0, and then that's our answer. This is just an alternative way, which is a little bit quicker. And also, generally, these answers are going to give you decimals. I've tried to pick ones that are a little bit easier, just to start off with, but the ones that you'll be doing later will be a little bit harder. So the first thing we need to do is identify from the equation that's given, what is our A, B and C. So the A is the number in front of the x squared. Now we've started with just x squared. Now, if you've ever just got an x or an x squared on its own, that means it's 1. So our A is going to be 1. Okay, B is the number that's in front of the x, so we've got positive 3. And our C is the number that's been added or subtracted on the end, so we've got negative 18. Okay, and you do keep the sign there. Once we've done that, all we do is substitute these numbers into this formula. Now, if you notice here, we've got a plus and a minus. So what we'll be doing is using this formula twice. So we'll be using it all exactly the same as it is, but with a plus there. And then we'll do it all over again, but with a negative there. Okay, so for now, I'm going to be writing down all the formulas, but obviously when you do it later on, you can just type it in a calculator. So I'm going to do it with a plus first. So B is 3 and we need to put a subtract sign in front of it. So it's going to be negative 3. We're going to start with the plus. So plus the square root of 3 squared, because B is 3, subtract 4 because the 4's there. Now, because they're all just next to each other, that means we're going to be multiplying. So it'd be 4 multiplied by whatever A is, which is 1, multiplied by whatever C is, which is negative 18. And we divide all of that by 2 times A, so 2 times by 1. Okay, and what we do is we type that in a calculator. Okay, so we start with fraction sign. So we've got negative 3 plus the square root 3 squared subtract 4 times 1 times negative 18. And if we click down, so now at the bottom of the fraction, 2 multiplied by 1 and then equals, and then we get our answer. So the answer is 3. Okay. Now I am going to write out the formula again. Now it's going to stay, all the numbers are going to stay the same. It's just that this sign here is now changed to a negative sign. 4 times 1 times negative 18, if I can squeeze it in, divided by 2 times by 1. Now you don't need to retype it all on a calculator either. If you just click the back button, which is the left one, and then keep going until we go to that plus sign. If we click delete and then change it to a negative, it then saves us a bit of time because obviously all the numbers have still stayed the same. Equals negative 6. Okay, so the answers to this question are 3 and negative 6. Okay, so it's all calculator based, which is quite nice, but sometimes a bit fiddly. Okay, so we're going to do another one. It's going to be a little bit harder. Okay, so again, we're given this quadratic. Now, I would say just if you're someone that is going higher, that sometimes these equations won't be equal to 0. So just make sure that they are. At the moment, for the people that I'm doing this for, it is going to just be equal to 0. But in the future, you're going to have to rearrange, so you might want to practice that as well. So again, the first thing is we need to know what A, B and C are. So A is the number in front of the x squared, which is 3. B is the number in front of the x, so that includes the negative sign as well, so it'd be negative 5. And C is the number on its own, so that would be 2. Okay, again, we're going to write the formula out. I'm going to quickly just write it out with the letters for now, but obviously in the future you'll be able to just remember it. Okay, so this is the formula with the letters. We're now going to replace these letters with the actual numbers. So I'm going to do the positive one first. So B is already negative 5. So if we want negative B, it means it has to be a different sign to what it currently is. So because it's at the moment negative, it's going to have to be positive here. Okay, and if I quickly turn over, that's what happened on this one. Our B was positive 3, so that means that here it had to be negative 3. Okay, so we've got positive 5, add the square root. Now for now, I do want you to put this in brackets, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So B is minus 5, so it's going to be minus 5 squared, subtract 4 times by what A is, which is 3, times by what C is, which is 2. And then we divide that by 2 times by what A is, so 2 times 3. Now, the reason why I've put this in brackets is because if you don't, your calculator is a little bit stupid. Okay, so if I did it without brackets, so minus 5 squared, you will get negative 25. Okay, and the reason why is, on a calculator, all it's doing is doing 5 squared and then put a negative in front of it. Okay, but actually what we're wanting is that we want to square negative 5. So that means that we do negative 5 times negative 5. Okay, which is positive, because when we do a negative multiplied with another negative, it would become a positive number. Okay, so just make sure you put the brackets in. You can put the brackets in if it's positive, but obviously it's a bit easier because a positive times a positive will give you a positive, and the calculator knows that. So again, we're going to type it into a calculator. So fraction sign, 5, add the square root, remember the brackets, negative 5 squared, subtract 4 times 3 times 2, click down, and then 2 times 3 on the bottom. Okay, equals, and that gives us 1. Okay, I'm just going to add a plus here, only because the next one, just because I'm running out of space, I'm not going to write out all of this. Okay, so when we do the negative one, everything stays the same except for this part here. Okay, we're going to change it to a negative. So if we do it on the calculator, so just keep clicking back. So change, so delete and then subtract. And that gives us 2/3. Okay, so there